Hello students. Today we are going to be discussing about ninth standard cyclic test 3 paper. It's for 50 marks paper and the duration given to you is for 1 hour 15 minutes, right? So let's quickly begin with the very first question which has been asked as a very short question which is having 1 mark to each and every question. So the first question is explain the term lithification of rocks. So basically the answer what is expected from you is the process that turns the loose sediments into hard rocks is called as lithification of rocks, right? So that will help you to score 1 mark. That is the process that turns the loose sediments into hard rock. That is a very important term and a very important line which is to be written in the exam. The next question is give one example each of an active volcano and an extinct volcano. So any of these examples are fetching you good marks. Like an active volcano can be Mount Etna, Mount Stromboli in Italy, or Mauna Loa in Hawaii, and then Mount Pinatubo in Philippines. For extinct volcano, you can write a Mount Kenya in Africa, then Mount Aconcagua in South America, whatever is convenient to you, right? Again, remember one thing, when these examples have been written, please ensure that the spellings are being taken into consideration because it gives a very lasting impact to it. Okay. And of course, when the paper corrector is correcting the paper, they will be convinced that you know your content well when you're paying attention to your spellings. Right. Coming to the third question, biological weathering is also known as organic weathering. Give a reason. It's a very simple question, of course. The main agents, which are animals, insects, plants, and humans, they are responsible for organic weathering. Hence, we say the biological weathering is also known as organic weathering. A very simple answer and 1 mark you can easily score out here. The next question, what are ocean currents? So large scale movements of water in the oceans in a definite directions are called as ocean currents. Remember the important word is large scale movement of water and definite directions. Okay, that will be looked upon when it comes to giving you the marks. The next, explain the normal lapse rate. Temperature decreases with increase in the height. If you remember, inversely proportionate. So for example, the temperature decreases by 1 degree Celsius for every increase in 166 meters. This is called as normal lapse rate. As a suggestion, I would always say that if you're writing down, for example, temperature decreases by 1 degree Celsius for an increase in height for 166 meters, underline that line. It's a very important line and straight away that will fetch you one entire mark, right? All right, coming to the very next one. Explain the atmospheric pressure. The force per unit area. The force per unit area exerted against a surface by the weight of an air above the surface is atmospheric pressure, right? If given an option, if you find any other answers are simple enough for you to attempt, please go ahead and do that. If at all you're finding this little tricky to answer, okay, so please do make a wise choice. Of course, in your examinations and from the paper pattern point of view, all these questions are going to be compulsory, okay. So of course you don't have an option in that, but nevertheless, in any of the school examination, in case if you're getting an option, then choose the right one, again a wise one as well. The next one, what is Coriolis force? The Coriolis force is created by the rotation of the earth. Due to this force, the winds in the different belts are deflecting. So in the northern hemisphere, they'll be moving towards the right. In southern hemisphere, they'll be moving towards the left. Now, I would suggest you to always underline them. For example, let's say belts are deflect. So underline right in northern hemisphere, left in southern hemisphere. This clearly attracts the paper corrector, okay, while giving you the marks. Of course, it's not compulsion. You may not. It's completely your choice. This is just a recommendation from my end. Coming to the next question, name the three chief types of winds: permanent, or prevailing, or planetary winds. You can add any one of the names, it's okay. The second one is periodic winds. The third one is local winds. Again, all the three will fetch you 1 mark. Next, what is relief rainfall? Relief rainfall occurs from the cooling of warm, moist air which ascends above the mountain barrier, lying in the direction of the prevailing wind. Now, if I have to give you an example for your understanding, this would be Western Ghats, which are basically been receiving the southwest monsoon winds. So that's how the relief rainfall is taking place out there, right? You may give an example if you want, you may not, again, but even if you give that example, you will still be getting one entire mark if you're writing this line thoroughly. The next question, what is humidity? The amount of water vapor which is present in the air is called as humidity. So it's a very simple answer. You can score full 1 marks. Remember one thing, children, in geography, you have ample amount of scoring options. You need to capitalize on them, and that will fetch you really good marks out there, right? Let's move on to the very next question. The next question says answer in short. That's for 2 marks each. So we begin with the very first one. What are known as metamorphic rocks? Give 2 examples to it. So the word metamorphic is derived from the word metamorphs, which basically means change in the form. These rocks were once igneous or sedimentary, they've undergone a change through physical or chemical processes due to changes in either temperatures and pressure, or even both of them. For example, marble is there, graphite is there, gneiss is there, slate is there, quartzites is there. Any of these can be considered, right? But again, any of these will be considered. Give two examples and not more than 2 examples. 2 is sufficient for this answer, right? But again, a simple answer: understand, know them, know the keywords, and write them down. So physical, chemical processes, changes, pressure, both, they are important. And of course, metamorphs, which is a very important word. You should underline it. All right, coming to the next question. Distinguish between land breeze and sea breeze. So land breeze and sea breeze. Land breeze blows from land to sea. Sea breeze blows from sea to land. Very simple. Second, very simple point. One blows during the night time. Other one blows during the daytime. So land breeze blows during the night, and sea breeze blows during the daytime. Very simple answer. Full 2 marks. You can easily score. Right. Let's come to the next one. Give reason. Many volcanoes are found along the plain boundaries. So let's see them. So the Earth's crust is made up of series of movable plates which are still being floating. When these plates are sliding past each other due to intense heat inside the Earth's core, their edges are producing a fault. That's a crack, a gap along the lines of weakness. That is a weaker section in simple words. So it is along these plate boundaries that the crust is weakened and through which the hot magma gushes out, leading to a volcanic eruptions. And this usually takes place wherever the plate boundaries are supposed to be the weakest. And that is where it usually takes it. So these 3 points will fetch you full 2 marks. Read the wordings, use them, and that will help you to score marks. Each day, a tide is delayed by 26 minutes. Give reason for that. On an average, every place experiences the tides twice a day. Since the Earth completes its rotation roughly 24 hours, every place should experience a tide usually after 12 hours. But this never happens. The Earth completes its 180-degree rotation in 12 hours, but by the time even the moon furthers along the orbit and comes all the way out here, there is a delay to cover that extra distance by the time the Earth and the moon are coming in the same position, which takes them approximately 26 minutes. And for that reason, there is a delay of by 26 minutes. Very important. These numbers are playing a very important role. Please be specific and ensure that you're covering all of them in the answer. Right? Let's come to the next one. We find it difficult to breathe when we climb the mountains. So the density of the air is more at the ground level, but at the higher places, the air becomes thinner and thinner when we go up. Oxygen being heavier is present in abundance at the ground level, but it will be comparatively present less over the mountains. So it's difficult to breathe when you are reaching up because the oxygen level is dropping down. Very simple answer, 2 marks. Next one. The ports of the western coast of Europe remain ice-free during winter. So the ports of the western coast of Europe remains ice-free during the winter due to a very important current, if you remember, warm North Atlantic drift, which increases the temperature, keeping it frost-free. Remember, we had studied about these, the ocean currents, if you remember. So that is a part of it, right? Very simple answer, full 2 marks again, if you are supposed to be attempting it properly. Come to the next one. North India has a greater range of temperature than South India. North India has a greater range of temperature than Southern because it's far away from the sea and experiences a continental climate, which means there is no moderating influence of the sea. That's the following point. The South India is surrounded by sea from all the three sides. We have the Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, Indian Ocean. So this has a moderating influence on the coastal areas. So the surrounding coastal area is comparatively I would say hot and humid conditions have been found as compared to northern part of India where you find an extreme type of climate and that experiences them continental climatic condition. So no sea for their influence or to change the climatic condition or to bring a moderate type of influence out there. Hence, an extreme climate is experienced out there. Right? All right, let's come to the next one. Distinguish between summer and winter monsoons. So let's compare both of them. Now talking about summer monsoon, these winds or these monsoon winds basically are blowing during the summer season from July to September. So currently we are supposed to be in September. So July to September, indeed we are experiencing summer monsoons. As compared to that, if I talk about winter monsoons, these are blowing in winter mainly in December and January. The months are very important for you to note down. Second, these bring heavy rainfall with thunder and lightning, but these in winter monsoons are bringing some rainfall. Usually they experience dry cold weather and cold waves of temperatures are being experienced out here. But again, remember, rainfall, low rainfall. Okay, that's the main difference between summer and winter monsoons, right? All right. You may add up one more point if you want. Summer monsoons are beneficial for kharif crops like rice, and winter monsoons are beneficial for rabi crops like wheat, which can utilize these rainfall for cultivation. Again, that is up to you. Since it's a 2-mark question, 2 points are more than enough. Let's come to the next one. What is known as exfoliation? Name the processes involved in it. The first one, when a rock is repeatedly heated and cooled, the outer layer of the rock starts expanding due to high temperatures and contracting due to cool temperatures. This eventually makes the rock expand during the daytime, contract during the nighttime as well. So continuous expansion, contraction is taking place. So this continual expansion and contraction causes the small pieces of rock surface to peel off, chip off, come out, and they usually come out in the in such a way that as if it looks like peeling off the onion or any particular skin of the onion which we are peeling it off. So the small pieces of rock surface are usually peeling off like the skin of an onion, and this type of weathering is known as exfoliation, also known as onion weathering or onion peeling weathering, right? So that is one of them, of course. Let's come to the next one. How are the cyclones named in China and Australia? Secondly, are cyclones caused due to high or low pressure conditions? So the answer to the first part, Cyclones are named as typhoons in China and the Willy Willies in Australia. Cyclones are caused usually due to the low pressure condition which are being caused. Right? All right. Let's come to the next one. By the way, these 2 points are going to be fetching you 2 marks indeed. Next, how is hail formed? Why can it be harmful? So sometimes the vertical air currents are pushing the water droplets or ice particles higher and higher. They form into solid ice and fall down in the form of hail. So hailstones indeed cause a great damage to the crops. So crops are eventually getting damaged because of these hailstones. They attract a lot of insects that can eat away the crops as well. And that's how they get damaged too. All right, let's come to the next set of questions, question number 3, and that is long answers. Now, they are going to be for 3 marks. Let's understand them. Again, if you see the paper, it is very scoring, provided you've prepared it very well. And nevertheless, even if you've not prepared, there are some selective answers. You may not be knowing the answers to it. You may have missed out on the important points. That's fair enough. Learn them, understand them. That will help you out to take this next test more and more effectively, and you'll understand the mistakes more effectively in the following exams, right? Let's take the next question, children. That's a long answer. What is the significance of rocks? So first, soils are derived from weathering of rocks. Almost all types of building materials which are utilized for paving the roads, building the walls of the houses, or even various types of structures which are included, right from bridges, are coming all the way from the rocks. So we see the rocks as a source of precious metals like gold, silver, platinum, and they've been mined, they've been removed from there. Apart from minerals and fossil fuels, even rock waste have now been utilized in different manufacturing various articles. So looking at that, indeed rock has a lot of significance. Very simple answer, and please ensure that you're covering these points. Let's talk about the next one. Define the weathering and describe the chief characteristics of weathering. So weathering is a process of disintegration, breaking down or decomposition of rock, incised by natural agents or near the surface of the earth on the ground level. What are the chief characteristics? First, weathering depends on climatic elements. When the climatic condition changes, that's when the weathering usually takes place. So based on the climatic elements and the characteristics of the rocks, the weathering will accordingly take place. Okay. For example, first action is the expansion, contraction of the rocks we just saw. So they all are varying from climate to climate and the characteristics of the rocks which are found in that area. Second, weathering affects the surface of the earth, that is on the ground level. And that weathering eventually will lead to the next step, and that is causing the formation of soil. The moment they break down and the rocks are being breaking down and weathering, they are eventually forming into soil. So it involves not one but several processes to cause disintegration of the rock. So it is not just one process. So one of them can be frost action, physical activity, chemical activities. Probably even all the three of them can be playing a role. So not one, but more than one processes can also be involved. Also, it changes the hard, massive rocks into finer materials. And nevertheless, weathering prepares the rock materials for transportation by the agents of gradation like wind, water, even running water, glaciers, any of them. Right? So these are the main chief characteristics of weathering. Of course, even if you write down any three of them, it's okay. We discuss more, but any three or probably four on a higher end is sufficient. All right, so let's move to the next question. Explain the factors responsible for depletion of ozone in atmosphere. So the very first one, our favorite, CFC gases, chlorofluorocarbons. They are utilized in refrigerators, aircrafts, air conditioners. So they produce the chlorine atom which eventually go and affect the ozone layer. We studied about that. Second is the impact of volcanoes. When a volcanic eruption are taking place, they give out sulfur dioxide that speeds up the destructive chemical reactions. That again affects the ozone and depletes it quicker and faster. Solar storms. Solar storms are consisting of coronal mass ejections, which have been released all the way up, and these solar flares are destroying the ozone layer as such. So, end of the day, these are the three factors which indeed are been affecting the ozone, especially found in the atmosphere. Coming to the next question. Again, these 3 points, if you notice, the important terms have been underlined. Do underline them, and 3 full marks you can score out here. All right, let's come to the next one. Describe the structure of atmosphere. In the atmosphere, there are concentric layers. One layer above another layer, another layer. These are concentric layers of air having a common center and layers following above them. The upper layer presses the lower ones. So the air of the lower layer is always heavier or denser, while the upper layers are thinner or less dense. In this way, you find that 90% of the mass of the air will be lying within the height of 20 kilometers from the surface of the Earth. There exist 4 thermal layers of the atmosphere. So troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere. The thermosphere is divided further into ionosphere and exosphere. So that's how the structuring of atmosphere has been seen. You may support this answer with a diagram if you want, just to show. You can normally show a box, for example, draw lines in between, showing the layers and name them. So that can also give you a good, probably 1 mark. Okay. Again, the diagram does not hold the marks, but when you're writing down the answer, you may have missed upon a point. But in such an answer, if you are drawing a diagram just to support your answer, the chances are there that they will consider, and probably that lost 1 mark can be accommodated out here. Not a guarantee, but gives a really good presentation, and more or less it's more convincing, right? But again, not all answers have diagrams. This answer can be shown with the help of a diagram, so you may utilize it. Let's talk about the next one. State how latitudes are affecting the temperature of a place. So temperature decreases with increase in latitude in either side of the equator. So due to the spherical shape of the earth, different parts of the earth are receiving different amount of sunlight. If you remember, we have shown this. So tropical regions are receiving nearly vertical rays of the sun, but beyond the tropics, that is beyond 23.5 degrees north and south, you find that the rays are becoming oblique, and they are received accordingly towards 23.5 degrees north to 66.5 degrees north and south. So vertical rays of the sun are traveling a shorter distance, covering a smaller area. So wherever they are doing that, they have more of a heating power, like equator, tropical areas, where the temperatures are on a higher side. But the oblique rays of the sun are traveling a longer distance. By the time they reach out there, covering a larger area, the heating impact reduces. And accordingly, the heating power reduces out there in the North Poles and the South Poles, and so going out there. And hence the temperatures out there indeed are quite low. So if you go much winnowing over North Pole, South Pole, indeed the temperatures are quite low. All right, coming to the next question. Explain any 3 factors that affect the atmospheric pressure. So one is altitude. So when I say altitude, if I talk about atmospheric pressure, the atmospheric pressure is highest at the sea level, and this atmospheric pressure decreases with height or altitude. So the decrease in pressure somewhere around 1 centimeter of mercury for every 110 meters of ascent, and atmospheric pressure will start decreasing. Nevertheless, the second point is temperature. Now, when I talk about temperature again, atmospheric pressure decreases with increase in temperature. The higher the temperature, the lower the atmospheric pressure, in simple words. Water vapor. The water vapor concentration affects the atmospheric pressure because the molecular weight of the water is comparatively less than the average molecular weight of the air. If you find this point a little tricky, you may go to the next one, that is rotation of the earth. Due to the rotation of the earth, bulk of the air at the poles is thrown away towards the equator. As the equatorial region receives great amount of heat throughout the year, the air eventually becomes warmer and light, and therefore it starts rising up, creating a low pressure conditions over. So any of these points in the answer can fetch you 3 marks. Okay. So children, that brings us to the end of the discussion of the model answer. I hope this is going to be beneficial to you. Please do consider this while correcting your papers, while understanding your mistakes, and ensure that whatever mistakes you are doing it, underline them. Ensure that you're not repeating it in the next answers or in the next exam. Okay. Also, one more important point to make a note of, that most of the answers they've written in the point format makes it very easy for a paper corrector to correct, for you to remember, write it down, and also to ensure that you don't miss out on any of these points. So I hope this has played a very, very important role in understanding the paper and different aspects of the paper, right? Thank you so much. I'm wishing you all the very best for the upcoming examinations. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe. Stay home.